Hello, everyone, and welcome to more Political Excess. Today, let's take a look at another hypothetical 2024 presidential matchup. This was suggested in the comments, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And let's do Gavin Newsom for the Democrats up against Ron DeSantis for the Republicans. There's a chance this one actually happens, so let's go into it right now. Safe states over a 10-point margin, likely 5 to 10 points. Lean under 5 points and tilt 1 point or less. Real quickly, I think Ron DeSantis is probably the Republicans' strongest candidate. He will turn out those deep red counties. He won't do as horrible in the suburbs. And in the deep blue areas, I don't think they would be as motivated to vote against him as they would someone like Donald Trump. Although as time goes on, I think those people are getting more and more incensed by Ron DeSantis. Gavin Newsom, on the other hand, I think he would do real strong in the elite, wealthy areas, the blue cities. They're going to turn out for him. I don't think he has as much working class appeal as he would like to believe. He'd probably do okay in the suburbs. I don't think he'd be a bad candidate. He's semi-youthful, not as much as Ron DeSantis. So having said all that, let's jump in and start in Alaska. That I have as safe for Ron DeSantis, probably 10, 11 points. It voted for Donald Trump by 10 points last time. I don't see any reason to believe it wouldn't be at least that margin against Gavin Newsom. Hawaii, on the other hand, would be very safe for Newsom. Back up to the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California. No surprise at all, very safe for Gavin Newsom. DeSantis would do a little bit better in Washington and Oregon than Donald Trump, but not enough to get it close to a likely margin. Nevada, that I have as a tilt for Ron DeSantis. As I said, I think DeSantis has a little bit more working class appeal than someone like Newsom. Newsom would try, and he is a neighboring state. I think DeSantis would get just enough in those red counties. He would do just as well as he needs to in Clark County to win that by about 3/4 of a point. Idaho, Utah, safe for DeSantis. Arizona, lean for DeSantis. That would be maybe a 2 to 4 point margin. Not super close, but Newsom would make it competitive. Newsom is not a bad candidate. I think his relatability would fall a little bit flat, not as much as someone like Hillary Clinton, but I think DeSantis would come off as more authentic in the blue-collar areas and some of these suburbs, just enough to give DeSantis a few points of an edge. Up to Montana and Wyoming, deep red, safe for Ron DeSantis. Colorado, I'll go likely for Gavin Newsom. That's a state where Newsom is going to have some appeal. Definitely not in those red rural counties at all. Denver, he'd be a hit. Some of the suburbs, he would do well. DeSantis might not be what those people are looking for. And given the lean of the state, Newsom would win that by 6 to 7 points. New Mexico, that is a lean for Newsom. It's another bluer state, but I think DeSantis would have more of appeal there than Colorado. And I think he could get that under 5 points. There's a lot of blue-collar people in New Mexico. I think enough of them would be drawn to DeSantis, so Newsom would only win that by 4 to 5 points. North and South Dakota, safe for DeSantis. Nebraska at large, safe for DeSantis. The 2nd District, the Omaha District, since redistricting, got a few more points redder. I would think DeSantis wins that by a tilt margin. Not overly confident in that particular district, but I still think he'd be able to win that narrowly. Kansas, Oklahoma, safe for DeSantis. Texas, that's going to be likely for Ron DeSantis. Democrats wish Texas went bluer faster. It did not. DeSantis is someone that is going to have enough appeal in enough areas to still hold that by at least 5 points, probably more like 8 or 9. Newsom would do very well in Austin. That's expected, but it's not going to be enough to make the state truly competitive. Let's go up to Minnesota. That is a lean for Gavin Newsom. That's just under 5 points. But if Donald Trump narrowly lost in 2016, DeSantis, 8 years later, I think would have enough appeal to still keep that in the lean column. Minnesota is a weird state. I don't have a lot of confidence in that rating. Maybe it does flip one day to the Republicans. But the safe bet is I'm going to say it's still borderline lean likely for Newsom. Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, all over 10 points and all safe for Ron DeSantis. I don't think Newsom would get under 10 in Iowa. DeSantis would be just over that, low double digits. Let's go up to Wisconsin. I see that as a lean for Ron DeSantis. Again, I think DeSantis is a little bit softer around the edges and still fires up the right kind of people he needs to fire up. Newsom would definitely do well in Madison, Dane County. Considering everything about the state, DeSantis would win that by anywhere from 1 to 3 points. Illinois, low double digits, safe for Newsom, up to Michigan. Some of these are very close, but I have it as a tilt for Ron DeSantis. The deep red counties, they would come out for DeSantis. In a Rust Belt state like Michigan, even Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, I think those type of blue-collar workers would see Newsom as a little bit too out of touch, and DeSantis would be more relatable. Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, safe for DeSantis. And how about Florida, DeSantis' home state? Well, if he were running against Newsom, there'd be that bitter rivalry between California and Florida. I think Florida residents would want to come around to defend their guy, and DeSantis will win that by a likely margin, probably 5 to 6 points. It is Florida. He's not going to win that by over 10 points. Let's go above Florida. How about Georgia? It's trending blue. Biden narrowly won it, but it is a neighboring state of Florida. The geography might help it slightly. How much appeal does DeSantis have in those Atlanta suburbs as opposed to Newsom? Very tough call. I think they cancel each other out. It would depend on the national environment at the time, but I'm going to give a tilt to DeSantis. I think considering everything, he would be able to turn out enough of those red counties and not have as many people trend toward the left, and he would win that by under a half a point. South Carolina would be safe for DeSantis. North Carolina, that is a lean for DeSantis. That would be about 5 points, close to a likely, but just not quite. Let's go back to Ohio. Likely for DeSantis. I think DeSantis would do much better than Newsom in Ohio. Red trending state. I think DeSantis would fit in well there. Newsom would try. He would go to factories. He would make these appearances at steel mills. I just think it wouldn't work as much as it would with someone like DeSantis. DeSantis wins by about 8 to 9 points. West Virginia, very safe for DeSantis. Up to Maine, at large, likely for Gavin Newsom. The first district would still, of course, be safe for Newsom. That's a district he would do well in. The second district is a district that would do well with DeSantis, and he would win that by a lean margin. That could be even more than 5 points. I'll keep it at lean just to be safe, but the state overall, I would say, would still be about 5 to 6 points in favor of Newsom. New Hampshire, very close one. I gave it to DeSantis by a tilt margin. Newsom is going to do better in the Northeast. It's wealthier. It's the coast. He fits in better. Highly educated areas. Depends on the issues and the environment at the time. DeSantis, I think, would be able to just get over that finish line by under 1 point. However, in Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C., those are going to be safe for Newsom. As of now, I still think they're too blue for any of them to get under 10 points. DeSantis would make a play for it under 10 in somewhere like New Jersey, but I'm going to say Newsom still wins those very easily. How about Pennsylvania? Another tough call. I will say tilt for Ron DeSantis. It just remains to be seen how a lot of these formerly solid blue Rust Belt states end up trending without Donald Trump at the top of the ticket. Maybe they revert back. The suburbs go farther left, the red counties don't turn out, and Newsom would win that by 5 points. But I think more so the trends would continue in a lot of those deep red counties. There's been a permanent realignment, at least for the foreseeable future, and I think in the Philadelphia suburbs, DeSantis would have enough appeal to hold his own, and he would win the state by just over 1 point. And finally, the last state is Virginia. Of course, DeSantis would do very well in the rural counties. Western Virginia, Newsom would run it up big, and Northern Virginia seems to be a bluer state on the presidential level. I have to give it to Newsom at a likely margin. It wouldn't be 9 or 10 points, more like 5 to 7. So that is the map, and that would result in 317 electoral votes for Ron DeSantis, 221 for Gavin Newsom. DeSantis would win this election. Several states are very close, within 1 or 2 points. So Newsom is not out of this. I think he could make it highly competitive. But as of now, I would have to say DeSantis would be a little bit favored to win. Yes, there's other factors, national environment, vice presidential candidates, how they run their campaigns. That's all true. Everyone has their reasons for how they would rate each state, and this is what I came up with. Let me know down below. Do you agree with this map? Do you disagree with 6 or 7 of these states? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.